Welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we're going to be reviewing a massive box set here, but unlike a lot of the other box sets that I've reviewed in the past, this is for one film, and it may just be the craziest box set, collector's edition, whatever you want to call it, that I have ever done on the channel. I've waited a long time to review this. This came out actually late in the year last year, and it took a while for me to get it. It took a while for me to go through everything in this set because there is a massive amount of stuff we're going to talk about today. But the film that we're talking about is right here, The Frighteners, starring Michael J. Fox. This has got a lot of great actors and actresses in it. Dee Wallace Stone is in this, Jeffrey Combs, Jake Busey, John Astin plays a really great part in this movie. This is just a wild, wild film. Peter Jackson directed this, and this was really his first big mainstream film. He had done Dead Alive, or Brain Dead as it's known in other parts of the world. He had done that previously, as well as Heavenly Creatures. And these are, this is a movie that really, I've always loved this film. This is a really, really well-made movie. And it's a lot of fun. It's entertaining. It's at times kind of scary. It's like a mix between a comedy, a horror film, supernatural film. It has mystery elements. It has a lot of different things going on in this movie. And I think that actually kind of led to its downfall. Robert Zemeckis is the executive producer of this. And you can tell it has that like kind of gothic touch that he brought to like Death Becomes Her. But Peter Jackson was really a great choice for this film because he provides this lightness and sense of humor to the film in his direction. But also, there's like a sense of whimsy in this film that's very hard to describe. Yet it's also very realistic in its tone at times. It's really a crazy movie. It actually at times feels a lot like a Tim Burton movie. And Danny Elfman did do the score for this. He signed up sight unseen after seeing Jackson's previous film. And it's just one of these movies that kind of defies explanation. You have to really see it, but I really recommend the movie just on its own. This box set here is wild, and it has a little slip in the back, and I'm going to kind of open it up here so you can see it. But on the inside of this massive set, it comes with a bunch of little like postcard things with trivia on the back, Frank's card that you see all throughout the movie. It has two different posters. One is the theatrical poster that you see on the cover here. I went with this cover. This collection is from Turbine Entertainment. And Turbine is in Germany, and they have made some really fantastic releases. I did a review of their special edition of Twister that came and went very quickly. That's like a collector's item now. I'm glad that I have that. But they put this together, and that's why it took a while to get it, because it's coming from Germany. This is another poster here that is the new artwork. And I am going to open this up so you can see it, because this is a really impressive new artwork. I love the way that they did this. It really captures the spirit of the film. That's a little joke there, spirit. There's ghosts and stuff in the movie. Anyways, terrible joke. But it also comes with this huge, I think it's like a 90-something, 196-page, 194-page booklet. Again, it is from Germany, so it's all in German on the inside, but with Google Translate goes a long way. This is a fantastic book that it comes with. And then we have the actual discs here. And this is really the wild stuff here. I'm going to show you the book, the actual case here. And then on the inside, we have some new artwork. There's Dee Wallace and Michael J. Fox. And we open it up, there's Jake Busey. And as you can see, this is a 6-disc set, which is just nuts for a single film. This is not a series. This is a one-off film. And this here, you see here, this is the 4K disc, the director's cut of the film, which I prefer. I think it's a more well-rounded version of the film. It restores some scenes that, were edited out of the movie for, I think some were edited out for violence and pacing, but I think it still works. The director's cut of this is fantastic. So this is the director's cut in 4K. This is the director's cut in standard Blu-ray, and I'll get more into these discs as we go on. But this is the theatrical version of the film in 4K and the theatrical version of the film on Blu-ray. And then over here we have a disc full of bonus material. And then this disc back here is really interesting. This one back here with Jake Busey on it is actually the open matte version of the film. So you do get actually 3 different versions of the movie in this set. The open matte film is just on a standard Blu-ray, but every version of the film is brand new, completely restored from the original camera negative in 4K. And director Peter Jackson actually was the main advisor on the restoration. So he oversaw all of this. And I'm going to go over the 4K discs, the open matte version, and the massive amount of special features that are on here. The film as a whole, picture-wise, is the best I've ever seen it. And I remember seeing this movie on TV in the late 90s. The movie, now again, it's being restored in 4K, and it does have Dolby Vision, HDR10, and a Dolby Atmos audio track on here, which are all new. I watched it in Dolby Vision. I watched the director's cut, the theatrical version, both in 4K, and the movie looks spectacular. Black levels on this disc are some of the best that I have ever seen, and the movie does take place a lot of times in very, very dark environments at night, in dimly lit buildings. There are some, more brighter scenes, but as a whole, the black levels throughout this film, especially on 4K, are just fantastic. And it really does a number on the viewing experience because the movie as a whole isn't like 3 shades darker, but the black levels really give you a sense of that nighttime mystique. The horror elements really shine through. There's a scene near the end of the film where they're in an abandoned like mental hospital, or a hospital I should say, and that scene is so fantastic looking now more than ever. Mainly the brightly lit scenes, even though they're not really extremely bright, they're in kind of like a coastal town. Those scenes also shine now too because that HDR just makes everything so much more vibrant and more alive. Skin tones on this are spot on. Detail level is off the charts. I mean, you can actually see little hairs on Michael J. Fox's face as the movie goes on, because the whole movie takes place in a very short period of time. I think it's just like a couple days, and you can really see the color now. The color just jumps out at you now. That Dolby Vision, the HDR, does such a wonder for clothing, for hair, for the vibrant bluish green that the ghosts are in this. There's some really fantastic special effects moments in this. Now, of course, today the special effects may look kind of dated, but back then the CGI that was utilized in this film was second to none. I mean, it was really impressive stuff. But today, now you kind of see it, and it's like the carpet moving, and there's like a ghost coming out of the wall, and it does look, dated now. But I will say the HDR on this brings this movie to a whole other level, and it is extremely beautiful looking. The whole movie is just fantastic in terms of its color. My one thing that I noticed going back and forth between this version and an older version of the movie that I had on Blu-ray. I think that came out like, it's got to be over 10 years ago now. But that version that is more widely available than this one, I will say that the blues and greens, the cyan, I guess you could call it, is much more apparent now in this. Do I think it's a huge deal? No, I really don't think so. The movie well more than makes up for it with the detail level, the colors, everything just looks so much better that you really don't notice it as much. But when blues and greens are on screen, which do happen a lot in this film because the ghosts are like a bluish color, it's much more pronounced. Is it overdone? Maybe, but I really didn't mind it as a whole. I thought the movie looked absolutely spectacular and just maybe like that shy off of perfect. It's really great. There is film grain in the film. Again, it was shot on film. This was made in the mid 90s, but it's never heavy to the point where it's distracting. It's literally a fine layer of grain all throughout the film. No real heavy duty DNR used as far as I could see. It's a spectacular transfer, and that goes for the theatrical version, the director's cut, everything. The Blu-rays that are included are the same transfer. So the Blu-rays, even though they're not with HDR, they look sharper than ever. So if you do pick this up and you don't have a 4K Blu-ray player, the standard Blu-rays look so much better than the previous Universal release that came out a long time ago. Big step up in every way. Now, for the sound mix, this was something that truly surprised me. This has an all-new Dolby Atmos track for the audio, and I'm not kind of blowing it out of proportions or anything here. It is one of the best Dolby Atmos tracks I have listened to in a long time. And this is for a movie that came out a while ago. So sometimes when you have I don't want to say slightly older film, but it is almost, 30 years old now, but the movie utilizes that Dolby Atmos track perfectly. Again, this was all overseen by, Peter Jackson, and I will say remastering an audio track to Dolby Atmos doesn't always work. I mean, one example of an older film that has, I think, a really good Dolby Atmos track is Jaws, which also happens to be another Universal film, but that Dolby Atmos track on that was really, really well done. Did it utilize the overheads and the surrounds a lot? Not really. But it made the movie a little more atmospheric. It made it, a little more involving. It kind of got you into the movie a little more than it did before. This Atmos track is a night and day difference to the previous surrounds or stereo mixes that I've heard in the past. I mean, there are a lot of scenes where spirits and stuff are flying overhead. The overheads are used to spectacular fashion in this. The surrounds are used perfectly when things are moving around the characters. There's one scene in particular that takes place in a museum about midway through the movie, a little more than midway through, and that one now is unbelievable because they're shooting at Michael J. Fox. These cops think he's a murderer at that point in the film, and they're shooting at him like crazy, and you can hear the bullets bouncing, things moving, people going crazy all around you. It's really, really well done. Also, just to use the sound effects that are atmospheric, things in the background for just, ambiance, little, noises and movement and things like that. It really adds to the whole creepy factor of the film. It's a fun, playful creepy, but that Atmos track is unreal, and you really have to hear it to believe it. It is really amazing, and hats off to whoever worked on that Atmos track. I mean, they did some of the best work I have ever heard in recent years. It is that good. 10 out of 10 for the audio. I mean, just a home run, a total home run. Now, for the open matte version of the film, this was an interesting watch because the open matte version of the film is pretty much what you'd expect. What open matte means, the bars on the top and bottom of the screen, this movie was shot in, I think, Super 35, which allows you to film basically just as tall as it is wide, kind of almost like a baby IMAX kind of ratio. And to make a long story short, it's the same movie, just slightly taller. Is it a wildly different movie experience? No. I think it adds a little bit to the surroundings, but I prefer, like I said, the original theatrical and the director's cut over it. Uh, just on a standpoint of a curiosity, it's really cool to see. You can kind of see more of the environments and stuff that the characters see in the film that they visit. But as a whole, it's not a hugely different viewing experience. But if you're a big fan of this film, it's an interesting watch, and it's something that just we don't get as consumers very often. You don't see a lot of those open matte transfers anywhere, so it's a neat thing to have. And it's nice that they threw it in here into this box set. The big thing I want to talk about, though, is the special features disc. So the special features disc really consists of two special features. And the other discs have have commentaries, a couple different commentaries, actually. The movie discs have trailers and things like that. But the special features disc on here is completely nuts. Now, you may say, well, Andrew, it's only, two special features. What's the big deal? Well, the two special features they included on here, there's one old one and one new one. The new one is a 95-minute retrospective on the making of the film. It's a great new special feature. Like I said, it's a little over an hour and a half long, but it's really nice seeing some of the crew and cast kind of look back at the film and talk about the making of it and everything. Nice little special feature there. Again, hour and a half, something you don't see on a lot of films coming out these days at all. Usually they're like 20, 25 minutes, maybe a half an hour if you're lucky. But 95 minutes is pretty extraordinary. The other special feature that's on that disc is Peter Jackson's making of the Frighteners. That is 4.5 hours long. I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. 4.5 hours long. It explores everything you could ever want to know about this movie. I mean, from the inception all the way to, them doing the little special effects for it. I mean, everything. It explores every little thing. And if you're a fan of this film, you really can't ask for much more than that. I mean, the fact that we have that on here is impressive, and I think it is in HD. I think it's in high definition as well. But I mean, 4.5 hours. I mean, it's like double the length of the film, basically, more or less. It's amazing. It is probably the best making of documentary that I have ever seen. The making of Terminator 2 is probably a close second, but that is hands down the most incredible, in-depth, and revealing documentary of the making of a movie that I have ever seen. I mean, it was incredible. It actually took me 2 days to get through it. I had to stop a little more than midway through and go back to it and watch the rest of it just because it is so long and in-depth, but it's an incredible watch, and you do get it as part of this set. Now, sadly, as I mentioned earlier, this is from Turbine, so I had to import this from Germany. It is really only available on their website. It is a limited edition. My copy here is number 1485. They are only making 6,666 copies of this bad boy. but this was only, I think it was about 60 something, I think it was 66 euros, which is kind of funny, but it is so worth it. This is such a great film. I'm a huge fan of Michael J. Fox, and usually in these videos I would leave a link in the description below to purchase this movie on Amazon. It's not on Amazon, but I wanted to say, just in parting here, that Parkinson's is an atrocious disease, and my godfather actually suffers from it. He's a man that I love very much, and excuse me if I get a little emotional here, but I think of him all the time, and what he is going through with this disease is impossible for someone like myself to imagine. Michael J. Fox has been dealing with it for many years now, diagnosed at a very young age compared to most people, like my uncle, who is much older than he is. But Michael J. Fox has done incredible work for Parkinson's research. I mean, absolutely amazing work. He has advanced things in so many ways just because of him being who he is and the charitable work that he's done. And I think he's just an incredible human being. And if you haven't seen his documentary Still, which is a movie about his life, it's on Apple TV Plus. Go watch it. It is one of the best documentaries about a star that I have ever seen. It's extremely humbling. It's extremely touching. It's very funny at times, much as he is. But I strongly suggest you go see that as well. You watch that as well. Pick this up. But most of all, please donate to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Please donate to them. I will leave a link in the description below to donate to them, and I strongly suggest you do so. His organization has done so much over the years, and a lot of people are indebted to him, and I think it's a cause that is very worth supporting. So please donate to them. I want to say thank you for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. I apologize that I haven't been uploading as much recently. I took a little bit of a break. I celebrated my birthday very recently, last week, and so I wanted to take a little break, but also this took forever to go through. But anyway, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. As always, if you like this review, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my uploads. Hit that bell icon so you get notified. And like I said, please donate to that Michael J. Fox Foundation. That means a lot to me, and it means a lot to a lot of people around the world. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.